I'm Carolee Garrison, and this is Seeking Sunshine, where we find the positive in the trials of life. There are times when life just brings you down, 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 down to the ground. And it's hard when you can't see the light, 'cause things don't look so bright. So now it's time to reframe and retrain your brain. It's time to look for the good. You know that you should. Why don't you join me? 'Cause I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. Oh, oh, oh. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. I'm seeking sunshine. Do you like this song as much as I do? Ooh, it just gives me goosebumps and makes me want to dance. I am in love with this new version of Seeking Sunshine. This is the title song for my album that is going to come out probably around next February. If you want more information, please sign up and subscribe for emails from my website. My website is caroleegarrison.com. Are you looking for ways to support my podcast? If so, then please like it, subscribe it, and leave it a review. Did you know that if you leave a review, it helps my podcast get shown to more people? I would so appreciate it if you could leave some words in the review box and let people know. Share this with your friends and family and just tell them about the episodes that you really like and some of the takeaways that you've personally received and that have helped you out. Do you have a story to share? I would love to interview you for my podcast. I want to hear all about you and what you've been through and how you've been able to seek sunshine in your journey. Please reach out to me. You can send me a message in DMs on social media, or you can even send me an email at caroleegarrison@gmail.com. I would love to talk to you. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Seeking Sunshine podcast. I am so excited that you are here, and I am so thankful that you chose to take time out of your day to listen to my podcast. And I really hope that it brightens your day and lightens your heart and just helps you feel joy and remember to look for the sunshine in your own life. No matter what is going on, you can always find sunshine. So today we have a really amazing guest. Her name is Erika Bestor. She was born and raised in Provo, Utah, which is actually where I'm living now, so we're quite close to each other. She started playing piano at the age of 6 and writing music at the age of 12, and she got to sing professionally with her dad, who is Kurt Bestor, who's the Emmy Award-winning composer. Yes, that Kurt Bestor. She got a bachelor's degree in deaf studies and vocal performance from Utah Valley University. But one other thing that's really a huge part of her life is that she was born with Spina Bifida and she walks with leg braces. So this is such a great episode because we get to hear her perspective of life and what it looks like from, this perspective of having grown up with, this kind of famous father and having this disability and how that affected the way people treated her and how just everything's going. It's such a really beautiful conversation to hear her and hear her wisdom and just the beauty that just emanates from her. She is so lovely. So without further ado, welcome, Erika. Welcome, Erika. I'm so excited to have you on the Seeking Sunshine podcast, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in. Tell me all about your amazing story.
So I am born and raised in Utah, in Provo, and I am the youngest, the youngest of two girls until my dad got remarried. He has a 13-year-old, so I'm the middle now. And my older sister and I, yeah, I know it's kind of crazy. My older sister and I are 7 years apart, and we both have spina bifida. So we were
both of you. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So when my sister was born, she's in a wheelchair, and I have leg braces, so I can walk and she can't. And so when my sister was born, my parents actually didn't know she had it until she came out, and so they didn't know anything about spina bifida. Now there's so many surgeries that can be done, so many things that can be done, but at that time there was just little to no education on it. And so unfortunately she tried to walk, but she was just too weak and her muscles were just not up to the challenge. So
So I
she
was gonna say, do me a favor and
yeah.
tell me more about spina bifida and like what that means and like I mean
Mhm.
I've heard of it obviously, but I'm not totally clear on exactly what like that totally entails.
So, spina bifida is actually Latin for open spine. So it's a neurological birth defect that affects the spinal cord up to the brain. So there's a disconnection between the two, and so there's different severities of it. So you could be so I'm paralyzed from the knee down, whereas people can be paralyzed from the waist down, or they can just have partial working in their feeling in their legs. Basically, it's just a connect, and some of the muscles are not fully developed, and so with the spinal cord, there's lack of muscle, and then below the knee, which is in my case, there's lack of feeling. So it's just a disconnection with the brain and the spinal cord.
Thank you. That's really
So
helpful.
yeah, so and it also what's weird is that it can skip a generation. So my half sister, my who's 13, she doesn't have it, and then my older sister, fortunately, she's been able to have kids, and she has three, and none of them have it. So
So
we
it's
have no idea.
genetic
It
and
can be.
it can be genetic. So in your case it is, or you're not sure.
We're not sure. My the doctor said that when my mom was pregnant, she didn't have enough folic acid, which is a B vitamin that prevents or can prevent birth defects. And so
Okay.
they're kind of guessing that might have had something to do with it. And my mom does have scoliosis, which is a case of
Relative.
a back that's crooked. Yeah. So we're those are our guesses, but no one knows for sure.
That's so, it's so interesting how genetic works and skips generations sometimes and like it's all very interesting.
For sure. Yeah.
So your
So
sister, you were talking about your sister
yeah.
before I
Oh,
interrupted you.
so yeah. So yeah. So my sister, she, like I said, there can be various types of spina bifida. There's actually three types, and so the one that's, and not to get too technical, but the one that's most common is myelomeningocele, which is quite a mouthful. But basically, it just means that there's people know that they have it, whereas there's another type it's called occulta, which means hidden, and so that means that maybe I don't know what it looks like with someone that has that, but it's I don't know if you don't have as many symptoms or if people can't tell that you have it. I'm not really sure.
That's really
But,
interesting.
yeah, and so that's what she and I have, and so we've had Kristen, my older sister, has had maybe 13 surgeries, whereas I've had maybe, yeah, like maybe 8 or 9 in my life. So
Wow.
yeah.
Surgery is brutal too. I mean, it's
Oh
never
yeah.
ever easy.
No. So we've gotten to know hospitals or primary children's. I have to give them a shout out. They are incredible, and they did all our surgeries growing up, and well, not all our surgeries, but we went to we had to go to a clinic every year, the children's clinic, until we were 18, and then you go to the adult clinic. But I went there for many summers, and they were awesome.
Primary children's is incredible. That's where we went
Yes.
when my I have a severely autistic 11-year-old who was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when he was 7, and
Mhm.
that's where we ended up eventually.
Okay. Yeah.
And they were just amazing with him.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't thank doctors and nurses enough, like especially during COVID. Just any of your listeners that are medical, just thank you for everything you do. They're incredible.
They are truly heroic.
Mhm. So yeah, so we were born with that, and then I have a my other, well, I don't want to say claim to fame is spina bifida, but my other claim to fame would be Kurt Bestor is my dad. He's a
Yes.
composer and arranger and all around awesome guy. So I started music is like my love. I started singing professionally when I was about 12, um, and he asked me to sing with the Utah Symphony at that time to do a summer concert.
Which, hey,
And
that's also
yeah,
genetic.
yes,
Right?
yes,
That deep love of music, I have that one
yes,
genetically too. Um,
right.
So
Yeah.
tell us, what was it like growing up with your dad, who's so amazing, and with Spina
Mhm.
Bifida? Like, what was it like growing up with those dynamics?
It definitely, um, sometimes it is a little hard because I felt like, my dad would talk about us not in a woe is me type of way, but I think some people took it that way. They would say, "Oh, wow, you guys must have, you know, gone through a lot of trials to raise your kids." And yes, my parents did, but they it could have been a lot worse, which is one of the ways that I've been able to get through
Seek
my disability.
sunshine. I
Yes.
absolutely, that's actually one of my favorite like ways to seek sunshine is like thinking about the ways like it could have been worse.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have a severely autistic diabetic 11-year-old now, and it's like, yes, but it would be worse if he had not survived it. Like that would have
Yes.
been infinitely worse. And I'm so grateful that, I have to
Yeah.
give him insulin all these times a day because it means he's still alive.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, and also with spina bifida, the mortality rate used to be really low, and so I think nowadays, again, they have surgeries where you can last a lot longer. But people are amazed that Kristen and I are still alive and have done things that we've done. So
Beautiful, amazing gift.
yeah, yeah. So it definitely, with my dad and his notoriety, it's definitely been it's really cool though. I get kind of dorky whenever like Christmas comes along, and because he's known for that, and his music comes on the radio, and I go, "Oh my gosh, there's my dad!" And so I get a little goofy still, but it's cool. I'm really proud of him, and he has his concert coming up. So I've been able to perform in that several times with my sister, and then she got married and moved away, and then I just sang with him from that point on. I haven't done it for a few years, but um, it's I honestly am so grateful that he asked me to do it in the first place, because it just kind of woke up this passion in me to just sing. And when I'm on stage, I'm not I don't have spina bifida. I'm not disabled. I'm just Erica who loves to sing and loves to spread music. I love to bless people spreading sunshine. That's another reason,
I
seeking
love
it.
that so much. Like what
Yes.
it feels like to be on stage is just pure, like glorious joy. I
Yes.
love that where all of the cares of the world just melt away and like that's your happy place.
Hmm.
I love that. That's so
Yep.
beautiful.
Yeah. So I've been able to perform with him, and then do some musical theater. I've done some productions at the Sierra in down in Orem. So I've just been blessed to do that. And then been in choirs. I'm in the Millennial Choir right now, the Millennial Choir and Orchestra. So I've been able to really engage with me, and also writing music. I've been writing since I was maybe 12. It's been kind of a little obsolete right now, but I'm trying to get back into it. And just my hope is maybe to get some piano arrangements, especially. I've been playing piano since I was 6, and I can thank both my parents for that, because my dad, who would be surprised to learn that he did not teach me to play piano. He didn't
It
teach
can
me.
be
I didn't
really
practice.
it can be really hard to learn that kind of thing from a parent though. Like it
Yeah,
can be really
for sure.
like there's a lot of resistance that comes up when parents try to teach their kids things like piano.
Yes, for sure. And my mom, she kind of, I took from a teacher outside of the home, but my mom was there supervising, and she's definitely, she could have gone to Juilliard. I mean, she's incredible, and she sight reads well, and she's been playing. She was like 5, and you know, played with an orchestra when she was 11. I mean, just very gifted. So she was the one that kind of enforced it, and Kristen and I were forced, actually, realistically, to um, start piano at 6, and then we could quit when we graduated high school. That was kind of the family rule.
Wow. See, it's so funny because like our family, I did piano lessons from 8 to 12.
Okay.
And, as a little kid, you're like, "Ugh, I don't want to do this."
Yeah. Yep.
And, I never practiced after that. And like today,
Mhm.
I'm trying to write my own music and compose. And I'm like, huh, I wish I had practiced and learned this a
Yeah.
little better because I'm having to like relearn things and
Yep.
get further ahead than I had ever gotten as a kid because I had given it up. And like that, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, it feels kind of sucky to be kind of forced to learn
Sure.
things and grow when you're a kid and you're like, I just want to play and not do things, right?
Hmm.
But as an adult looking back, it's like, oh, I could see so much how that benefited my whole life to
Yes.
have that
Yes,
foundation.
for sure. Yes. Any parents out there that are listening, get your kids into music. They'll thank you later, I promise. And I still play for like church and do my own arrangements, and I have my parents to thank for that. So it really is a blessing.
That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. So I'm curious with musical theater and all of these really incredible things that you've been able to do, how has your spina bifida affected like your physical ability to do these things?
Yeah, that's interesting. I had director. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he's a legend over at the Sierra. Jerry Elison, Mr. E is what they called him, and he's known my dad ever since he was 12, and I'm LDS, and so he baptized my aunt into the church when they converted. So he's a dear family friend, and he always believed in me no matter what, and he always had some place to put me in a show. And that's one of the number one reasons I did his shows. One, because he was like the most famous director and he was incredible. Number two, he would always find a place for me. And no matter he did that, he had like the biggest casts at the Sierra. He was known for that because he said no matter how you sound, no matter how you move, you belong.
If
And
you
that's what
want to
we
be in it, you get to do it. That's amazing. I've done a few shows.
yes.
I don't know if you know, I'm in Provo. My husband and I graduated from BYU not too long ago.
Mhm.
And I've done some shows with like Spanish Fork, but it's hard to do shows with three little kids. But doing shows is so much fun. And
Is.
it's so like filling to your soul to like get to know this group of people and kind of form this theater family as you run through this show and learn and grow through it. It's a really beautiful experience.
Mhm. Yeah, and definitely it's theater. I don't know what it is about Utah and theater, but we like eat, drink, and sleep it. I mean, there's so many talented people. The Hale,
Oh yeah.
oh my gosh,
Mhm.
West Valley. I think there's another anyway. So there's so many legendary theaters out here,
It's
and
been, and you know what, I have to say for myself, it's been really beautiful to have the opportunity to study theater out here. So, because I originally came to BYU to do opera, and
wow.
I didn't get in.
Oh
um,
shoot.
and I ended up studying. I double majored in family studies with an emphasis in sewing, and then I double majored with theater studies with costume design and makeup design with lots of those
Wow.
people who work at the Hale and who work at the Sarah, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful, creative, uplifting world to
Mhm.
be in, especially here in Utah, I think.
For sure. And that's also where I've been trying. And yeah. So with your question on my disability, I just and there were some shows where I had very limited access to choreography and things to do, scenes that I wouldn't be in because of the physicality of it. And so I just tried to make the best of it and be supportive. And that's where I think any person, disabled or not, would say you need to have a good attitude and support your co-stars. And I've always wanted to be the lead in some, but at the same time, I'm a theater person, but not completely. I love to be versatile and love to do other things, but I would love to do a lead at some point. But um,
That is a shared
it's
dream. I also have
it
that
is.
dream.
Yes. And
Someday.
so yeah, so it's not for everybody. You have to be a team player. And so I had to, I have to be extra humble with things that I can't do physically and just realize that that's the card I've been dealt. But at least it takes a director like Jerry to say, you belong here. And I just hope that theater continues that way, that it's very inclusive and that people feel a sense of belonging. I love that about
And
it.
what a beautiful like message to the world that like you belong here. And sometimes I have felt like in theater circumstances where like sometimes it can be exclusive and they're like,
Yes.
but sometimes it can be so like just arms open wide and welcoming, and like that is such beautiful where they're trying to get large numbers in every, not every scene, but in many scenes, and I've experienced that, and it's so lovely to like have a large diverse group on a stage with a united goal coming together to make something happen with different skill levels,
Yep.
and it's beautiful.
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, I love that about theater, and I've made so many good friends now through it. And I'm I actually had in 2012, that was one of my first shows that I've ever done that's like not part of a camp. I was part of BYU Young Ambassador Camp for years,
Ooh,
5
cool.
years, yeah. And so I got to do that. And so but I had never really been in a production of sorts. And so auditioned for Hello Dolly in 2012, and that was I decided, I've been seeing these shows for so many years, and my grandparents especially, they're huge musical theater fans. And they said you need to do something with this, and you need to do a show. And I just kept getting that yearning, but at the same time, that voice, you're disabled. What makes you think you can do this? I said, nope, I'm pushing you out, and I'm doing it. So I got the bug, and I kept doing it year after year after year. And I've taken a few years off, but I don't regret making that decision. It's
Well, and
one of the greatest decisions.
it's so interesting to look at this and go, because I've been, in so many ways in that position where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. And
Yep.
as somebody who's not disabled and just going like having all of those doubts and fears, and then to look at you and how amazing you are and to continue to go even though you have this big reason. Like, aren't we all looking for like that reason? Like for me,
Yeah.
for a long time, I was like, I'm too fat. They'll never want me on stage. Like that, like I was like disabling myself. Like I wouldn't try for things because I thought that no one,
Yeah.
and so to overcome like your very real reason and to still go out and try
Hmm.
and to still go out and like show up
Hmm.
and be on stage and show the world your light is like so impressive and so inspiring. Um, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's I mean, easier said than done for sure. I've had moments where I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm not worthy of this. I hear someone's voice and I'd run away. It's like I'm not as good as this person. But I love this quote has always kept with me all these years. It's by Eleanor Roosevelt. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent,
Yes.
which I love. No one can make you feel fill in the blank, because you give people, and I've learned this through therapy and mindful training. And no one can give, you can't give someone power to make you feel anything. And so as long as I have that in my mind, it really helps me get through. And I've talked to a lot of people about, people call me an inspiration. They say I'm a good example. And sometimes I've looked at that a little bit in a negative sense. Like, what do you mean I'm an inspiration? I'm just like you. Like and I give my parents huge credit, because they raised me to not, and Kristen, to not look at ourselves as different. They raised us to, do things on our own and go out on our own and just kick butt, and be on stage and not be afraid. And so they really raised us to not see, but also to look at ourselves as beautiful, and
So, and
to,
my
yeah.
thought here is that like anyone who has overcome something hard is
Hmm.
inspirational.
Sure.
Anyone who's going through something hard, which
Yeah.
is all of life.
Hmm.
Anyone
Yeah.
who's going through life which is hard and still going.
Yeah.
Like not even like forget about overcoming because what does that even mean? But like still going.
Absolutely.
Like that's an inspiration just on its own is like
Sure.
moving forward because life is hard and there is so
Yeah.
much telling us,
Yeah.
to stop and stop trying and stop going forward and just kind of shrink and do a little ball and do nothing because that's I feel like
Hmm.
that's constant like pressure all the way around us to do nothing.
Hmm.
And so to stand up and keep moving. So that's
Yes.
why I call you an inspiration is because you're still
Thank you.
going
Yeah.
and you've been through life, which is hard.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you said that, because I don't believe in getting over something. You get through something. And so I've never, I mean, yeah, you can get over it and then forget about certain things after a while, but then you just learn how to adjust. And so that's what I've been able to do. So yeah, I totally, and I love that. I love being an example to other people. And if that's why I'm here, then that's awesome. I love doing that.
Well, you are an example
Thanks.
of somebody who's just kept going, and we're all dealt with, different hands that we
Yep.
don't, we can't predict it, and we and we certainly probably wouldn't choose it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and all these things, and you just what's amazing is that we keep going when so much around us is telling us to not do that.
Absolutely. Oh.
So let's see. Tell us about where you're at now, what you're doing now. What's life like right now?
So I live in Orem right now. I'm kind of in a transition, living with my grandma just until I get a place of my own and get both feet on the ground. And I'm working at Rocky Mountain Elementary in Linden as a paraprofessional working with special needs kids.
Oh, okay. Now you're gonna just like
Yes.
pull after my heartstrings.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just have to say that like you were saying that like hospital staff, that nurses and doctors are just are heroic, and they are for sure.
Yeah.
But people who work with special needs kids,
Yes.
like, I have three. I have three on the autism spectrum.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and so like it's just amazing to me
Yes.
to see this day in and day out, the energy that it requires and the
Mhm.
love that it takes. Like that is inspirational. That's mind blowing that you go every single day to these kids who, I mean, my son, I have two that are in special needs classes, but Joshua, who's 11 and diabetic, he's got all these jokes, and as soon as he
Mhm.
sees his teacher, he runs up and he's like, "Moth hot chocolate," and then he expects her to say yuck, and if she doesn't, he'll go yuck, and and he'll
Oh.
go nasty, and then she started the with the tongue sticking out, and so he'll
Oh.
run across all of campus to get to her, and so I just see like the love that like the paraprofessionals and the teachers have for
Yes.
these kids. So tell me
Oh.
about that. How is that? Because it's such a draining, demanding, exhausting job for like pretty much almost no pay. Like it's like
Yep,
very little reward in the end
pretty
for that.
much.
And yet, and that's, I mean, I could get into that topic all day long, and I'm
Yeah,
sure that
yeah.
you could too. Teachers are grossly underpaid. But it's incredible how you show up for those kids.
Thank you. It's yeah, we have nine of them and we have three, so we have the teacher and then myself and another aide. And so we have three adults and nine kids. So it's definitely, yeah, the kids come with their own set of challenges and they're all different autistically and just but it's rewarding at the end of the day. I'm proud of the work that we've done and I want to fight for these kids. I want to be a voice for them. I feel like that's another reason why I love to be in front of an audience, in front of people, because I want to spread awareness because they are people and they may not communicate the way we want them to or the way they can. They want to, but it's a challenge on both ends. And so if we just take the time to be patient and listen and love them and they have so many things to teach us. And I'm grateful that I get to be with these kids and learn from them and become their friends. And I wanted to take some of them home with me because I'm like they just they're so full of love and they just want to be heard and it's also a challenge. And by the way, mothers, Carolee, I'm just hands off to you because whether it's a special needs child or not, motherhood is so unappreciated. And
Yep.
I have so much love for mothers, and I hope to be one someday. But I'm just glad that I can be a light to them and help them find sunshine in their lives because
Yeah.
home can be so difficult. And parents, they're just kind of making it up,
Hanging
not making it up as they go along, but
hanging
kind
on
of.
by a thread a lot of
Yes.
times. Well, and I
Yeah.
and I just want to point out that I think the biggest tragedy about motherhood is that mothers don't appreciate themselves.
Yes.
And it's just, it's just the culture around motherhood. It's really, really easy to be like, I'm just a mom. My
Yes.
identity is gone, and all
Yeah.
I do all day is take
Yeah.
care of these people
Yep.
that I created. And like, I don't know how this happened, but all of a sudden I'm like drowning in this
Mhm.
insanity that is my life. And that's one of the reasons why I really love doing this podcast and connecting to people, is because it helps give me back
I
my
love that.
identity, which then in turn helps me be a better mother.
Mhm.
Because nobody can help anyone else if they're drowning.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm all about connection and all about teamwork. And I love the staff that I work with. And they're that's the important thing is unity throughout, whether it's theater or the arts or any vocation that you work with. As long as you do things together, you can accomplish a lot of things. And so I'm lucky to have some great coworkers and some great friends that I work with. And um, yeah, it's just I love the kids a lot, and they have my heart for sure. So
Oh, that's so cute. Do you sing to them?
yeah, I haven't yet. I hope to. I've told my teacher that I sing, and so hopefully, maybe for Christmas, I can
That would
kind
be
of give them
so
Carol a tune.
cool.
Mm.
Fair warning, my experience with my kids is they do not want me to sing. Which I mean
Oh,
my other two who are more high functioning, like they like some of my music, but my son who's severely autistic is like, "No, turn off." Especially if
yes.
I sing something that he likes to watch on YouTube.
Uh,
Like he loves this like grow a pumpkin song, and if I start singing it, he gets all upset at me. Tells me to stop.
shoot. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I'm afraid of what will happen because we've had some music stuff in our classroom and things have happened. So I'm kind of like, okay,
you
be
just
careful.
kind of never know. It's pretty unpredictable.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
the better you get to know them, the more predictable it is. But
Yes.
like on the whole, they're pretty unpredictable
Yeah. Yeah. Never know.
as a group.
Yep.
So that's so much fun. I'm curious how long you've been there. If we were in Orem School District 3 years ago, and we could have been my son could have been in one of your classes.
Oh, I've only, let's see, so I'm still fairly new. I've only been there since August. So,
Okay, fun.
yep.
Yeah, we were in Orem and then we moved to Provo a few years ago, and that's a whole
Okay.
story. But my son went to the Melissa Nellison Center, which
Okay.
was really amazing there before we moved.
Nice.
But how fun! So what kind of theater stuff are you doing now? You're doing the choir, with
Uh-huh.
that big upcoming performance.
Yep. So it's going to be at Abravanel Hall, December 5th and 12th. So,
How fun!
yeah. So it's called Millennial Choir and Orchestra if you want to look it
Yeah,
up.
I will absolutely. I'll put that in the show notes, and then we can be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, come to this
Yeah.
thing."
It's going to be awesome.
How fun! That's so exciting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
tell me how you have been able to seek sunshine in your journey. It sounds like you're already just like really full of sunshine. In like through
Oh,
like every well, it seems like through every step of this, there's been music and there's been theater and there's been joy, which I have to say, like, I absolutely see the sunshine in music and theater. Like
yes.
that's such a healing like modality to be able
Yeah.
to have, and especially from young childhood, and that's really important. Um, to help us get through really tough things, like to have that
Yes.
kind of outlet and those ways of expressing ourselves. um it's really I just music is it's just so important.
It is. It is. And I mean, just like when you're talking about teachers being underpaid, don't get me started on arts in school. Like I will fight till the death to have it go back because our kids need it. And so I honestly I've been able to find sunshine through connection, not just with music, but with family. I have a lot of family nearby, which I'm very grateful. Um, and just I feel like I just have this this empathy for people because working with these kids, and then I graduated from UVU with my bachelor's in deaf studies, and I thought of being an interpreter for a little bit for ASL, but I'm grateful for the education that I've learned with the deaf culture and the deaf people, and I have
I'm
empathy for
curious,
them.
can you tell
Yeah.
me like what drew you to that major?
Um, part of it, part of it was I was kind of thinking, will music be practical? Because I really wasn't like a performance major as far as like piano goes. I wasn't that good, and so I did do a minor in vocal performance, and so I do have some vocal. But deaf study just kind of I was really good at it in high school. ASL was kind of the language to take there, and I was part of the ASL club, and so I'm really good at language. Period. And so I just picked it up really well, and then
That's
I
such a
was
beautiful
yeah.
gift to like some people just have that gift of language. My husband
Yes.
does. I do not. I am so bad, like just in a million ways. But my husband is one of those people like you who just like picks things up, and I'm just amazed. He took like 4 or 5 different language courses
My
in
gosh. Yeah.
college, like just like a semester, so he can like basically speak at least like some of all of these
Yeah.
languages. And like he was in opera as well, and like
Wow.
had all those languages. And that's one thing about opera is the language
Yes.
that will bring you. Did you study opera at all, or just more like
A little
music
bit. Yeah,
theater?
I've sung in different languages. Yeah. It wasn't, it's not my style really, but yeah, I just hats off to people who, do Italian and French and da da da. Yeah. Yep, you're right. That takes a lot of
But
discipline.
so ASL, what an amazing language.
It is. It is. And it's, people get thrown off because it's American Sign Language. People think it's English. It's not. So if you're wondering if it's like English, it's totally not. And it really takes it's one of those languages where it takes your whole body because you have to watch the hands first of all. And it takes a lot of hand-eye coordination. It takes a lot of processing in your brain. And so being an interpreter is not for the faint of hearts. And so that's kind of the direction I wanted to go at first. And then I just decided, and I'm still kind of thinking maybe I'll go teach, or because I have a lot of friends who teach ASL. But I just really, got into the language, really appreciating the art of it, and I've seen songs being interpreted, and it's just like a dance. It's gorgeous, and
Ooh,
so
and I love it when they combine it in like a big
yes.
choir and then they add
Mhm.
in. That's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know about you, but I get distracted, at big conferences or something. I'm looking right at the interpreter because I'm just amazed. So
Yeah, it's really incredible.
yeah, yeah. So I appreciate that language, and so I'm lucky to have had my education at UVU with that, and so still trying to decide if I can do a career out of it, but I'm definitely grateful for the training education I got with the culture, especially. I'm a big culture person. So
Absolutely. That's really beautiful. Um, yeah. It's so you were drawn to it because you took it like in high school as like an elective, and then you were just kind of naturally good at it and then just went into it
mhm,
from
mhm.
there.
Yeah. And I feel like I got I don't want to say a rude awakening, but I did kind of get a taste of reality with the interpreting aspect because when I got to UVU, I mean, the program was very, very new when I got there. Now it's like come a long way, but at first they didn't really have a lot of interpreting classes, and the test is not easy. The state test, I had to do a written and a performance part of it, and it's not an easy thing. And so but it's not for everybody. Not everybody has the knack for it. And it takes a lot. It's like you're either passionate about it or you're not. But I definitely love the language itself, and I definitely want to sharpen my skills and just I love the feeling, and I've had this with jobs that I've had throughout the years where a customer will come in who's deaf, and they just, again, just like the kids I work with, they want people to understand them. And so once I start signing, their eyes light up and they're like, "Oh my gosh, and we just start talking and we start signing." And so that is the part I love.
Oh my goodness. I feel like the power of communication like just cannot be understated like for
Mhm.
all of us. And when you
Yes.
have I mean there's so many like groups of people who have struggled to be understood, and
Yep.
that could be, people who are hard of hearing or people who are verbally like disabled like my son. Um but I feel like also all of us like we don't really get trained to communicate well
Oh,
with each other like ever. Like that's like a big huge like missing chunk
yes.
of like education, is that like this communication is essential for like every relationship in our lives.
Yeah.
And it's an area that we're just expected to kind of jump into, and we model the examples we got from our parents and hope that that was a good example. And in
Yep.
a lot of cases, it wasn't as maybe as good as it could have been because we're always learning and growing, right?
Mhm.
But like that's what I love about doing this podcast is I feel like people need to be able to tell their story and be like, here's where I'm coming from.
Yep.
Because I've had times where things are like really, really tough. And I just have this, and I'm just walking through the store and I have this voice just in my head screaming, like, if you guys just knew what I was going through right now,
Yes.
like if people could just know it and they
Yes.
can't, because, sometimes those things are personal and
Yeah.
sometimes, but like we all kind of carry around this anguish that we just want to be like, look at me and what I'm
Yes.
going through because it's really hard
Yeah.
and I deserve credit for it. And
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm also a big advocate for mental health. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to look for the signs and really if someone's telling you, that they're having pain or something, or they need to tell you something, listen to them, take them seriously, no matter how minuscule it might be. And so it's different for everybody. And I've definitely just loved the professionals that I've worked with throughout the years that have just listened to me. And I'm a good listener too. That's another strength that I feed on is listening to people. And sometimes, I'm a very open book, and so I can get a little too deep, a little too fast sometimes. But I
oh, I
just
do that too.
yes,
I'm like,
I
I
just
will dive right in with you. Like
yeah,
no qualms here. I'm just in.
yep, yep. But it definitely, with the seeking the sunshine, it can definitely um depends on your attitude, and it's like you can get woe is me very fast, very too long, but at the same time you have to be honest and real, and that's that's what I love. I love to be raw and just honest, and again, that's why I love music, is because it can help you do that.
Yep, like here I am and
Yeah.
this part of my life really sucks, but also at the same time going, I have the power to get through this. And
Yes.
like, even though it's not gonna look the way that I thought it would, I would get through to the other side.
Yep.
And like, there's something better ahead, and like looking for the positive things. And that's what like seeking sunshine is all about. Like for me, the sunshine is really like God and finding the blessings,
Hmm.
because that's what really guides me through all of the really tough things.
Hmm.
um like if you want to hear a really, I'll make it brief, a really like crazy story. So my son Joshua, who's severely autistic, he was 7 years old when he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. He was completely and utterly nonverbal before
Mm.
he was diagnosed. Like he literally didn't even have an that like meant something.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was entirely nonverbal. And then he almost died from DKA and was in the hospital for 3 days up at Primary Children's. And he went back to school like 2 days after he got out of the hospital and pooped in the potty for the first time in his life. And he was 7. And within a month, could say all of his colors. And his verbal abilities skyrocketed
Oh my gosh.
from that point on in his life. And he had been doing like intensive speech therapy and like nothing had helped, and then diabetes. And it was like, what? Like I
Yeah,
don't know
what is
how.
that?
And my personal
Mm.
opinion is that it has something to do with like gut health, because he was always super underweight before that,
Mhm.
and then he started eating regularly.
Mm.
But what a crazy like miracle. And he has childhood apraxia of speech, so he's really difficult to understand. And he's 11 and he puts together 3 and 4 word sentences and then
Mhm.
repeats it ad nauseum for hours on end.
Yep.
The same few words. But he communicates in ways that
Mm.
I had honestly given up on, because at
Wow.
7 years old I was like, it's too painful to keep hoping and praying that he's
Mhm.
going to talk. And then it was like this crazy traumatic miracle.
Yeah.
Um, and so I love talking with people and looking back on our lives and going, this was super hard. Like one of my favorite quotes, or not quotes, but one of my favorite things to say is like, there are blessings in every trial and trials in every blessing. And so it
Mm.
really just depends on like what your perspective is. And so
Exactly.
if you can take a step back and like look at something long term and
Mhm.
go, where could this possibly lead? Or
Yeah.
maybe I just don't know where I could end up. Like that changes how your brain operates in the moment, and you step out of that panicked fight or flight,
Yes.
my world is ending, to taking a deep breath and like, I'll get through it.
Mhm.
And who knows what miracle awaits. on the other side.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. And the the hardest part is waiting, and patience is not a virtue I have. So
Oh,
it's,
so yes.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I relate to
Ah.
that one a lot. Yes.
Yeah. But,
So tell me, are there any experiences in your life that you want to share that were like really hard that you were able to get through?
let's see. So so a lot of people, I don't know how many people know, but my parents got divorced when I was 11, and so my
Yeah,
dad got
you
remarried a
mentioned that
couple times.
earlier. That's one of the
Yeah.
hardest things, and what a tender age. At
Yes.
11,
Yeah.
like that's one of the hardest things for a child to go through.
Yeah. So I've definitely had some challenges, and also with my dad's, being that he's so well known. I don't know how many people still know, but it's just been, I had to grow up pretty fast and learn some things at a very young age, very adult things. Um, and then just going through, I went through 6 years of school at UVU. So I got my bachelor's in 6 years, and that was extremely hard. Um, I think the hardest thing though, and being in Utah, I'm 34 and not still single, and I've never been in a relationship. And that's extremely vulnerable of me to share, but I just, you know, I've never given up, and I'm a firm believer in just being your truest self, and then when things will happen, it'll happen.
Well,
It's
and you
really,
are beautiful and such a
thank
light.
you,
And like I have no doubts it's coming and it'll be
thank
amazing.
you. Thank you. I just, yeah, I hope they can handle me, hope this the guy can put up with me. But I look at love as loving yourself and loving um people around you, and again, it could be a lot worse. That's just my motto for my life, is it could be a lot worse, and I'm grateful for, I'm still here, and just get up in the morning, just be grateful that you're breathing, and that's why I'm a firm believer in mindfulness, and just really taking a few deep breaths and just feeling your body. And I've done, a lot of yoga, and just really tracing your body and just saying, look at my hands, look at my ears, look at my whatever. And so just know that you're functioning. And, even those with other mental challenges, they're still moving. Something is still functioning. And so just as long as you are grateful that you're alive and that you're
Gratitude.
breathing. Yeah, gratitude, absolutely.
Gratitude in all
Yes.
things is,
Yes.
it's funny how hard that is
Yeah.
sometimes.
Oh yeah. Because
Like
we're not naturally that way. We weren't wired that way, just even from birth.
exactly. Hmm.
So,
We are wired to find everything that's negative so that we can be safe
yep.
from the world, and instead it's keeping us sad and held
Mhm.
back.
Yep.
And yeah, gratitude is really, really essential.
Mhm. Yeah. So, yeah, I would say my parents' divorce was probably one of the hardest things. And then, you know, friendship has always been relationships, even though I thrive on connection, and I love making connections with people. Even though I don't come across this way sometimes, I'm very shy. And I don't really carry on conversations too well, which I just, even though I'm grateful for Facebook and, social media in some ways, I curse it sometimes because it's like, where's our communication? Like
Like I
texting.
was, what, I was just saying this. I said, like
Oh,
everything, there's two sides, right? But
yes.
like posting on Facebook is not
No,
communication.
no, no,
It
no.
is
Mm-mm.
not a two-way street. It is
Yeah,
not a it is not getting it is not intertwining energies with somebody. It is
yeah,
putting something out there,
yep.
and it's just not the same, which is again why I love doing this and like getting to know people and talking with people.
Hmm. Yeah, so I definitely, so friendship has always been an enigma, and like I had challenges growing up where people were friends with me for different reasons, because my family was, well, we lived in a really nice house growing up, and we had an elevator for my sister, so people wanted to take rides, and they thought my house was fun. And then also the whole, I'm friends with you because of pity, because you're this disabled person. So I've definitely had challenges with connections and with relationships, but I keep trying, and it's what gets me through is connection. And that's something that, you know that I try to push myself every single day to just connect with somebody, and to be, you know, we can so easily get into the pit of depression is huge right now, and that's because we're so focused on ourselves and
We're
saying,
disconnected.
yeah. And so I definitely have to really push myself to do it, but it's worth it, I promise. So
That is beautiful. It's it's one thing when something comes easy to you to like push forward in it and like,
oh yeah.
yay, but when something's a struggle and like to keep going in it, even though you've probably been shown time and time again, and like here's all the examples of why this doesn't work, here's all the
Yep.
examples of why, don't know, for me personally, like here's all the examples of why I'm a failure and why I will
Yeah.
never succeed at this, and like my life is just living proof that I should give up right now. I don't
Yes.
know if you've ever felt like that. I have certainly
Yes.
felt like that. um but it's not. Like that
Mm-mm.
mindset is garbage and we should
It's a
throw it
lie. Yeah.
away, and it's a lie. Um, and the courage that it takes to throw that lie out the window every
Mm.
day and to tell that little voice to shut up
Yep.
and
Yep.
to take that next step even though you've taken that step 100 times and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's true courage in my book. Like that's because I've lived it and it's really, really tough.
Yeah. So as long it's just that, baby steps. It's just one step at a time. Okay, this is going to sound really cheesy, but there's a song from Jordan Sparks, who was the
I
American
love
Idol
Jordan
winner.
Sparks. I watched
And
that whole season of American
yes.
Idol.
So she came out with it's called One Step at a Time, actually. And so I love it. She's saying, you'll find a million reasons why, or no, let's see, trying to go through the song. She says it's like learning to fly or falling in love. It's going to happen when it's supposed to happen, and you find the reasons why one step at a time. I love that because that's how it is. It's step by step, and you really don't have to take things. You don't have to take the whole enchilada at one time. You don't have to chew the whole. What's the phrase? Like eat the whole elephant. You can just do it. Do
Yep.
it your way, and that's how
Life's
I'm
a
getting through life.
marathon.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
I'm super like task oriented. Like I'm gonna just do my entire podcast for eternity today and then it will be done and then I'll move
Right.
on to a different project. But like life, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint, but I feel like so many of us are sprinting.
Yes.
And often I feel like I am sprinting through life trying to like get there, but where is that? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and it's frustrating because I feel like we have this whole world of energy around us that's just like go 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 go
Yes.
go, and I have this like internal drive to just accomplish things and get things
Yeah.
done,
Yep.
and we have to slow down or else we
Yeah.
won't be able to keep going on our marathon. Like we have
Exactly. Yeah.
to, you know, do self-care and like
Yes.
take a break and
So
like
important. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There needs to be way more awareness. I love, I love motivational speakers. Hats off to them, but there needs to be more of you're fine and what you're doing is great and you're enough. And, it's you have gifts, you have things that people haven't seen yet, and you just need to keep proving those haters wrong, and just keep showing who you are. I mean, that's what we need to hear.
Yep, like keep doing the things you're doing because you're doing the right things.
Yes.
You're doing the things you're supposed to be doing, and now you have to be patient.
Uh-huh.
Patience. Patience is a virtue.
Yay.
Now it's time to just keep doing all the good things, and
Yes.
you'll get there.
Yep.
And trusting God's plan for our lives and trusting that, He does want us to be happy and He wants all of the things that we want for ourselves, all those beautiful, like amazing life goals that we have.
Hmm.
And that trust is really hard
Yeah.
sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Like it can be like to me it feels illogical a lot of times. I have often felt like faith is illogical, because you
Mm,
look at all the evidence, and the evidence can really be flashy and shiny right in your face of like, obviously this wasn't supposed to work out for me. I shouldn't try again. I feel like I'm being forced in this direction, even though it doesn't feel like that's what I want,
yep.
and it feels illogical to continue to hope
Yeah.
for all the things that are in your heart.
Mhm.
And yet that's what we're expected to do.
Yes. Yes.
And and on the other side of that is just so much beauty and joy
Yeah.
when you just turn it all over and you're like, all right, like just do what you're gonna do, and I'm just gonna be along for the ride doing my best to do all the things,
To do,
right?
yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You just it's there's so much power in letting go and not holding on so tightly, and just not only trusting God, but like trusting yourself and
Yes.
trusting, that there's power inside of you, because it's there, but it's really buried deep. And so that's why this life with that's what our life is for, is to find out why we're here.
And I think most people would be blown away just at how powerful we are.
Oh yeah.
Like, we are
Yes.
powerful beyond belief.
Yeah.
The problem is we don't believe it.
Yep. Exactly.
And like changing that mindset and convincing ourselves of the truth
Yeah.
is a difficult one. So, what any last words, any final like thoughts for this group here?
uh, um I just, well, first of all, Kiralee, thank you for doing this. I love that you do things like this. Keep going, and we need more uplifting people like you. So thank you so much for
Thanks.
having me. And just, you know, those of you that are just so down on yourself, I've been there. Kiralee has been there. So many of us have so many challenges, but lean on each other. Um, it could be worse. I think that's the phrase I can leave you with is, look at someone else and just think of, whether you pray or whether you meditate or whatever it is you do, just think about someone's life you can change, because you can change someone's life just by smiling at them or saying hello or just acknowledging their presence. I mean, just look at somebody. And that's what I love to, I sorry for going back to performing so much, but I love, when I sing, I look at people's faces. I don't look at the exit sign. That's like people teach you to look at the exit sign, but I look at people, like especially in the front row. Be careful if you're watching me perform, because I'll look at you, because I love engaging. And so
That's
engage with
so
people.
beautiful. And what's so funny is that like I'm looking at you and you're
Yeah.
talking about all these performing things that I have struggled with my entire life, and I'm like I
Yeah.
have this dream of performing, and I'm working on my debut album, and like but I
Nice.
get on stage and like I can't look people in the eyes, or I just shut down and like hide. Like I'm like
Yeah.
somehow I like with all this work I've done on myself, somehow I'm still afraid to be seen
Sure.
somehow, which is funny
Yeah.
in so many ways because I'm like, that
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense, but also it kind of does.
It does.
And
It
so
does.
what an example to me like that you are of like you looking somebody in the eye while you're singing isn't about you, it's
Oh,
about
about them.
them, and it's
Yep.
about them getting that spirit and connection from you. And
Hmm.
it's like, oh yeah, it's not about me feeling embarrassed.
Yes.
It's about serving people.
Yep.
Like that's beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. So, yeah, just really look outside yourself more and just challenge yourself to seek sunshine, whatever that is. But and go out. I know the weather's going to get really kind of poopy, but snow can be beautiful and leaves can be beautiful. Just go out there and find something, and
Well,
whatever
and
your
even if
sunshine is.
I was like, even if you hate the snow, which I hate the snow, the
Yeah.
snow can be beautiful. I hate driving in the snow is really what
Yes.
in Provo.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh, girl.
that's what I
Yep.
really hate is driving in the snow in
Yep.
Provo. But the physical sun, it's coming back.
Yeah.
Like, and I have to say, one of the most beautiful things living here in the Utah Valley is when the mountains are completely covered in snow and we have that one day with the crystal clear blue sky
Yes.
and the sun shining down. And it's like, so yes, we have to go through all of the storm clouds and gray skies and ugly weather to get that one perfect, beautiful day.
Yes.
But it's worth it, and it's
It
coming,
is. It is. Yep.
and it's on its way.
Mhm. Yeah. So there's I again I can't remember the exact phrase, but there's beauty in the grind. There's there's opposition in all things. That's why that's what we're taught. And so I really truly believe that. So yeah, there's beauty in everything. So just find it. Just go out and find
Yay! I love it. Thank you
it.
so much. Thank you
You're
so much for coming
welcome.
on here and talking to us and telling us your story and all about
Thank
you and all of your
you.
beautiful inspirational wisdom that you have gained along the way.
Thanks, Carolee.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.
I am so thankful that Erika came on the show today. It was so great to hear from her and to hear just all the knowledge that she has and all of the beauty and all of the wisdom that she has. I loved this conversation so much. She is such an amazing person. So here are my very favorite takeaways. Number 1, theater. No matter how you sound, no matter how you move, you belong. I love theater, so I really loved talking about theater with Erika. Number 2, take a deep breath. Who knows what miracles lie on the other side? Number 3, life is a marathon, but so many of us are sprinting. Number 4, you're fine, and what you're doing is great, and you're enough. You have gifts and things people haven't seen yet, and you just need to keep proving those haters wrong and just keep showing who you are. Number 5, keep doing all the good things and you'll get there. Number 6, it feels illogical to continue to hope for all the things that are in your heart, and yet that's what we're expected to do. And on the other side of that is so much beauty and joy when you just turn it all over to God. Number 7, there is so much power in letting go and not holding on so tightly, and not only trusting God, but trusting yourself. There is power inside of you. Number 8, most people would be blown away by how powerful we are. We are powerful beyond belief. The problem is we don't believe it. Number 9, there is beauty in everything. Just find it. Thank you again, Erika. I adored this conversation. I hope that everyone got as much out of it as I did. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it. Please like and subscribe. Send it to somebody who could use a boost in their day. I would appreciate it. And I know that whoever you send it to would also appreciate it, because we all need help finding that sunshine sometimes. And it's so important that we always look for it. But sometimes it's really easy to forget to keep an eye out for the good things in life. Sometimes it's easy to get really bogged down, and so we all could use that boost. So hopefully this has been a lovely boost in your day, and I hope it's a great one, and I'm going to leave you with a song of mine. Dear apathy, are you in love with me? Without you, I would cry. They say that it's okay to feel your feelings. Sometimes it's just too hard to feel your feelings. So I stopped crying and went back to apathy. Dear apathy, up and I go down with my emotions. You keep me on solid ground with these emotions. I shut them down and went back to apathy. Dear apathy, they say you're wrong for me, but I just don't care. I'm afraid that it's far worse not to have you. I can't handle myself when I'm without you. I'm tired of fighting, tired of feeling. It's overwhelming, so I went back to apathy. Dear apathy, are you